I grew up in Birkenfeld, Oregon, so I've logged straight out of high school. Really don't know anything different, didn't go to college. I love being out here. Dorinda Kennecke, the owner, she really wanted to manage trees. They're through the Department of Forestry. They had gave my name to this Andy Bryant with Yamhill Environmental Services and said, hey, this guy does a lot of thinning. And so that's kind of where it started from. She wants to thin and make it a productive chunk of property.
This piece of property has lacked management for about 25 years. The road system in general was not up to specs as far as active hauling.
This chunk of property has got endless roads on it. It's 830 acres with roads going everywhere, but they did the old French drains, and lots of French drains failed on this road systems in here.
I think with this operation, getting in here beforehand and identifying the failed road system and bringing it to the attention of the consultant forester and the stewardship forester, it set his operation back, but he wanted to do the operation correctly. So they had to get the pre-work done first before he's able to move in here.
So before Olaf could even get going in here, several things had to happen, from one major fill replacement, cross drains, rock on the road, and that's just to get Olaf and Big O started. That process has continued through the year and a half, and granted, it's going to be 2 years by the time they're done thinning in here, but that whole process is ongoing as Olaf moves further and further into the property.
We went back and forth trying to work the road systems to where I could be active, but they could be active also, trying to keep, the dollars rolling for them and also for myself. So I did feel like I got into a real good dance groove, trying to figure out exactly how to do it.
Well, I would say that there aren't too many contractors out there that are better at these first entry thinnings than Olaf. There's a lot of planning involved in these first entry thinnings to minimize damage.
But I do walk the ground 2 or 3 times before I log it, because when you have an adverse piece of ground, if you don't put boots on the ground first, you can end up with a lot of damage.
Olaf is not doing residual stand damage. He's the one following the trees. He walks that piece of property to make sure how that lay is going to go before he even follows a tree, to make sure he can log that out appropriately without doing any stand damage.
In some of the areas, some of it's really nice wood, some of it not so much. But we try to go for leaving the biggest and best, and like I say, the least amount of damage.
Thinning, you're looking to take out the lower suppressed, less dominant trees, so you're going to gain that value moving forward with the more dominant, less defective trees, and that's something that Olaf has mastered. This is his sweet spot for what he does in the timber industry, and he's really good at it.
There's definitely a financial risk, especially in a first entry thinning. He's only getting out 3 loads a day. But to have to move in and out of the operation, it costs a lot for low boys and moving back and forth, and he's done it a couple times.
As winter came upon us, it was obvious that the infrastructure was not going to support moving forward, so Olaf moved off the property for a few months and then came back during more favorable weather. He's protecting resources, he's looking out for dirty water, he's looking out for the best interest for the landowner and himself as well as a company owner.
There's a lot of hardwoods in here, so we're trying to avoid the hardwood pockets, so it's been a little bit problematic for having to log certain ridges, so we are having to move around more than I would normally on a job like this now, due to the pulp markets being basically deceased.
I really appreciate Olaf's love for commercial thinning. I think it's an art that, as mills go to smaller and smaller piece size, is being lost. A lot of industrial landowners and small timber landowners as well are not managing for that older age class anymore. So I really think that we're losing that niche So I really appreciate Olaf's expertise in that area.
When Olaf is completed with an operation, it looks amazing. You don't see ruts. The slash is this birch, minimum damage.
He's a long-term logger that wants to do a good job and continue doing what he does because he loves what he does.
Olaf doesn't have to advertise. All his work comes from his reputation. I don't think he takes a job more than 8 miles from his house. It's pretty much doing work for his neighbors and for the Department of Forestry. And I think that says a lot about the operator, that he's able to stay within his community and continue to work.
When I go into somebody's property, I want it to look the same way my piece of ground looks.